Welcome.
Bienvenidos, bienvenidas.
Willkommen.
Ahla wa sahla to breakfast together.
Hello. Good morning, Fernando.
Bonjour, bonjour.
Buenos días, queridos oyentes del Breakfast Together.
Good night, and everybody.
How everybody's doing?
I'm crying because of laughter.
Already.
Already.
We haven't even started the episode yet. I'm
So,
having some
Dilemma,
morning coffee.
I've heard that you had some struggle in France, in Paris. Can you tell us about more?
Yes. That was very. You dive into the topic.
Yeah,
very
direct.
So, France, tell us.
I don't care about what you're saying. Like, just tell us.
Start speaking.
Yes.
Yes.
Don't be afraid, Tile. Don't be afraid.
I was scared. No, I'm just kidding. I just came back from a trip to France. I was there for 2 weeks. So I had the opportunity to practice.
I don't know if you noticed the pattern, but Dilemma Host is like the one that is traveling all the time. Eh?
He learned it from me.
Not only me, but we'll get to Irena after.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was traveling to France with minimal French skills. So I was trying to kind of like pronounce Spanish in a French way to make myself understandable. But it was the first time in a long time that I was in a country where I don't actually speak the language. Small flex there. So, it's like you have this kind of feeling that, okay, I have to ask for the bill and you have to first like remember a bunch of words. Like, how do you say this? How do you say that? And you get a bit this like little like stress of talking in a language you don't know yet very well. But I think at this point I handle it well because I just, say some words, do some hand movements, and
La
if in the
cuenta,
end I get
s'il
what I
vous plaît.
want, I get the sweet I want or the au chocolat I want, then it's all fine.
Or just English.
No, come on,
Just
that's the easy way out. Funnily enough, they did switch to English almost all the time, which I did not expect from the French. I'm sorry, but I'm disappointed.
I know you went to Strasbourg, and when I was there in August, they all spoke very decent English. I was also surprised.
Yeah, because it was the Christmas market actually, which I found by chance. I literally just went there like to meet friends, including our dear Christina. And yeah, basically it's so touristy that apparently everyone there speaks English as well, which I was very surprised about. But I still tried to. I just spoke to them in French. I just refused to switch to English. So we had the opposite
oh,
situation that
look
you
at
normally
you.
have with
True
French people.
polyglot vibes.
Yeah, well done.
So were you afraid, Dilemma, here to speak, or
A little bit, yeah. It's this mental
Aw.
trick where you say, "I'm not afraid, I'm excited." Uh,
so? Why were you afraid, Dilemma, here?
it's because you have this feeling that first of all you need to like do this process of recalling the words before you say anything to them, like how to say like how to ask for the bill, how to say like this or that, and also you have to also be focused because when they tell you something, especially the things that no one prepares you for, like how does the waiter say, "Are you done with your meal?" in different countries, which apparently no course covers for some reason, and then the waiter just says something to you very fast, and you just stuck there like, and yeah, hope that you somehow communicate after that.
Tilly, do you think it's since we're talking about fear, and I guess listeners already guess that we are going to be talking about fear of actually speaking a foreign language. Would you find that challenging to actually listen to someone speak to you, or speaking is more challenging? What was the skill you were struggling with? Because the situation that you portrayed with somebody responding to you very fast, even in the restaurant setting, which is quite basic, let's say, and covers every single course covers something like that, but it definitely, at least for me, uh, it changes from situation to situation. Then you are in a restaurant and everything you've learned kind of seems sort of useless. But how was it for you?
Yeah, because Duolingo taught me about pink elephants and
Right.
things like that. So this is not very useful at the real life setting. Yeah, I think actually for me it's uh, the listening part was a bit more stressful because they said something to you very fast and then they're expecting an answer from you and you're just kind of staring at them blankly and trying to process in your head, make some sense. There's a queue of people behind you, like maybe like wanting you to hurry up. So it is a very stressful setting. But there are lots of people, and me included at the beginning, that also got stressed when they have to talk because you have to find the words. Now I stopped caring about that. So I kind of, I use, gestures to communicate. I just throw some words in some other languages, and usually it works. Like people get what you want to say. But for me, I think listening was a bit more tricky because also they speak in full speed, with some they express things in ways you have not learned in any course or whatever. Like maybe they use a different way of speaking than the one you learn in a textbook. So I found that the most kind of stressful um,
Yeah.
thing. But then I was asking ChatGPT, like I wrote them, the scenario and what would they say, and maybe I wrote phonetically what I heard, and
Yeah.
sometimes it could actually help me. Or I even ask
Oh,
the people themselves, like when we later spoke in English or whatever, like what is the thing you said? And then
yeah.
sometimes if they were not stressed, if there was some time, they would tell me actually, oh, so that all this, and then I'm like, I will try to remember next time.
Hmm. That's very useful. That's a very good tip.
I find more stressful in the beginning when you start like learning a language. I think I'm more excited and I'm more like, yeah, I'm gonna, you know, go speak and I don't care about what I'm saying or what I understand because people know that you are, like in a basic level. So they probably gonna also speak like slower, like with less complicated words and everything. The more stress for me at least comes when I am in a B1 level, or let's say I spend one
Hmm.
year learning a language,
Mm,
and I feel, which is probably in my head most of the times, that the other person expects me to to be able to converse and talk, or like use like proper, like no making mistakes and everything.
they have
That happens.
standards.
Yes, and that happened especially with German, which as you lovely listeners, amazing listeners,
The best.
I live in Germany, so for the last I think 7 or 8 years. So this is like also putting a lot of more stress. So I think that's for me mostly when the it's like more in, let's say, in between the B or like the intermediate level, when you're like keep reading and like trying to get better and everything, and you realize that you don't know everything, you don't know anything actually. It's just like keep pushing, and then you go to a situation, you speak, and from all this also research that Lemahos mentioned, that maybe you're somewhere outside or you have people around you and you're afraid that you're gonna make mistakes and you're gonna be judged, or forget like words because you just freeze. So that's for me mostly the time that I feel like more stressed to speak, even if I can understand better than I speak at that level.
That actually makes sense. It's two different kinds of fear. It's like the first is a beginner fear where you just are afraid that you don't even know which word to say, so you're just not even speaking, and you're afraid of that. Then
Yeah,
you start learning, and then you have this new fear where it's like, okay, I can communicate now, but they have expectations of me that my grammar is correct, that I use the right words. So
right.
it's like you get from one fear to the other. Let's say.
Hmm. I'm curious, are you more nervous when you speak to native speakers or fellow learners in your target
Oh,
language?
definitely the speakers. I think they're the ones that will, or you expect that they will judge you, right? So when I remember that it was
Escuchamos,
funny.
pero no juzgamos.
I remember that in the beginning when I was speaking to non-native German speakers here, I was feeling always now they understand me. They are in the same situation, right? They're learning. They keep learning. They're like been learning for the last 10, 15, 20 years, or maybe they have started like last year, and we are in the same
On the
level,
same
the
boat.
same, yeah, on the same boat. So it's where I feel, and again, I think it's on me. It's because I feel like less stressed and more relaxed, and then the speaking is better than when I'm like with native speakers. And especially I realized when you are in a group of, like, you are the only, let's say, gringo, the only non-native speaker, and you're in a group of native speakers, then it's so difficult to understand or participate in a conversation, because there will be a slang used. There are going to be like things like I don't know, like speaking fast, like saying, when you're a native, you can understand even if the person doesn't use all the word, or like maybe doesn't
Yeah.
even use the whole phrase. You understand what they want to talk about, and you're like, trying to understand. Okay, so he said that. So especially in German, that you put the verb in the end. It's like you have to
Mm.
to wait for all the
Wait for
phrase
the
to be
verb.
done.
Wait for the verb.
Yes. What's the verb now? Like, so yeah, I think so. What about you?
Irena, tell us
What about
about your
you?
experience, because I'm sure in 13
Ah,
languages,
me.
you obviously had some, situation, or maybe did you or didn't you? Because maybe you're fearless.
I mean, no, I think no one is fearless, but I liked what Tila said in the beginning. Maybe I was fearing in the beginning and then I didn't anymore. I think that at some point you stop caring, and maybe the trick is to kind of convince yourself. I don't know, different people have different strategies, but well, I am a former professional teacher. I used to teach Norwegian. I've already mentioned that before a couple of times. So I used to observe people, having this fear of speaking, and well, that was my job to tackle that. So
And make a safe
um,
environment for them to speak, I imagine.
exactly, and it was my job to make them feel comfortable so that they wouldn't be afraid. And I came to the conclusion during my professional career that it's really, learning a new language and teaching it, it's like having this, I don't know, almost like psychologist session, like, because most of the things that people struggle with are some kind of mental blocks.
Hmm.
And one of them is being afraid of speaking, because people usually say, oh well, I don't have the time, I don't have the talent, but it's usually something, I don't know, maybe in school you were scolded for, not speaking correctly, or
Hmm.
you were struggling with the exams or with your peers or whatever it was. So it's probably something sitting there from some kind of negative experiences before,
Yeah.
or you were judged by someone, judged maybe, or laughed at native speaker from native speakers, or non-native speakers. I've heard a lot of those stories. Yeah.
You're perfectionist, no?
Yeah,
You're trying to
yeah,
be.
yeah. Also that, that is also one of the things. So me personally, because also, as I said, I've observed so many people, going to the same trap, and just blocking themselves. I mean, yeah, speaking 13 languages, it takes a certain kind of mindset from you, and
Hmm.
I always say that maybe the difference between me and I don't know, a regular person, or a normal person, or a simple mortal, or whatever you whatever you want to call them, is that every time I learn a new language, like, I know I'm proficient in, Russian, my native language, or English, or Norwegian, or whatever. But when I learn, let's say, Tila was mentioning French, or Greek, or whatever you name it, I know that I will be speaking like a child. I will
Hmm.
not be speaking like a 36-year-old adult, because I don't have the vocabulary, and that's the whole point. And many adults don't like that, because they say, well, I'm important in my job, I can say this and that, and why do I even have to speak this foreign language? And I'm like, it's fine. Like, I don't speak fluently for now yet, but I will get there one day, you know yeah. So as I was saying, I mean, I can't say that, like, I'm 100% completely fearless, but I've done it before. I mean, I have kind of two native languages, so for 11 times, 11
Hmm.
times I've learned a completely new language for myself. So, at this point, like, you just
Yeah.
simply stop caring.
I
And yeah, it's funny what we were discussing about native speakers and non-native speakers. I think that many people strive, they're like, oh, I only want to practice with native speakers, oh, I'm looking for a native speaker. I think it's a myth, because, as you said, like, the non-native speakers, like, they were in the same boat as you before, and they usually have a much clearer accent than the native
That's
speakers,
true. There's
me
so much easier to
included,
understand than natives.
right?
I
What
guess
about you,
it's
Asa? How has your experience been with making mistakes?
yeah. I
Perhaps
guess
in Turkey.
I think you said something very important. Is like you tried something 11 times, right? Like to beat the fear, if it ever is there, or any type of expectations. So many things are happening in our head. We have to just tune into trying. As many times it just stops becoming fearful for us. It's becoming scary. And with Turkish, it was the story is completely not in the frame of fear at all, because I was so excited by being in Turkey and so excited by being in Istanbul and so excited about learning Turkish and pronouncing. And this the Turkish society in general, Turkish people are so excited when a foreigner speaks the language that everything around me just worked so well. Like everybody was encouraging, everybody was very patient. I had situations where I was not understanding what people are responding to me, or me myself, I was repeating something that people were not understanding what I'm saying, but they were so patient and so
Hmm.
understanding that I would try again and again, and I wouldn't have your usual, native speaker discouragement when usually native speaker are like, let's just speak English. I don't really get what you're saying. I never had that. It was just so nice that I could bother pretty much everyone, from a seller of simit to teachers, my colleagues at work. They were all saying, new sentences, some kind of useful and useless phrases that I was repeating. In that sense, it was a journey full of adventure and a complete positive experience, I have to say. But I do remember how I ended up during the polyglot gathering, obviously, which is one of the best events to practice your languages, because you can meet native speakers, you can meet people that are learning the languages, and everybody's very accepting because everybody's going through the same exactly fear or journey. They're going through a linguistic journey. So I ended up with all the Spanish native speakers, and I actually thought by that point that my Spanish was at some level that I was like, oh my God, I actually can speak Spanish. And I was speaking with someone who was not a native speaker. And then the group of
Marika, ya
guys
tú
came that I
sabes.
knew. Oh, yeah. And then they all came together and they started speaking, and they just velocidade do seis. I was like, what are they saying? I don't understand anything. They had their jokes, they had their banter, they were having some internal whatever. And I, I was zero. And I said, that's fine. This is just not the level for you yet. It's okay. And I just left. I was like, okay, maybe some other conference I can kind of handle this. So it's definitely a lot in your head. But if you can just tell yourself that it's
Mhm.
completely normal to try, fail, and it's also about clicking with someone as well. Maybe finding certain common interests where you both have patience to listen to each other. If you are not into chemistry and
Mhm.
someone comes to you and starts talking about some different chemical formulas, and you are there and the language is very clear and understandable, but the topic for you is something completely off, then this is
Right.
probably not going to
Yeah.
last long. But if you are into, I don't know, football or whatever, and you are so much into it and the other person is so much into it, and you are like, I don't know, supporters of the same team, and you just talk in that same language about the topic that both sparks you inside, then that probably has
Yeah.
a very long life to go, and it can be useful for both.
And it is also easier to speak to a single person, of course, because I think
Yes.
the speaking to a group of natives is like the final boss of learning a
Yes,
language. It's
exactly.
and I think it's a normal feeling that I think everybody here has had, that you are among a group of natives in a language that you speak normally, you thought you speak very well, and then
Mhm.
suddenly you're just out of the conversation because you're just a little bit further behind than you should to keep up,
A
and
little bit or a
that's also
lot.
a completely normal feeling. Exactly, and yes, but usually speaking to one person who can adapt their how fast they speak and kind of help you out is usually like a lot easier and a bit much better beginning than going straight to the group of natives and trying to figure out what the hell they're saying.
You said something also interesting that you were in the political gathering and then at some point you just left because that's not the level that you have, right? So a lot of times we made the mistakes that, or maybe we are over. We think that we are better than we are. Of course, that's like something like
Mm,
human. So you might be, let's say, in a starter, not starter, but like like pre-intermediate level, and you think that you're better, and then you show up in a conversation, as Lemo said, with a native speaker, which is the final boss,
yeah.
and then you realize, well, I cannot handle that. I really need more vocabulary. I really need more listening to at least understand and then participate in the
More
conversation.
exposure in
So
general.
more exposure, yeah,
Mm.
exactly.
You get
And
the reality check.
yep. And what Asia said is like you just need to live and like and not get this as a loss, but you just like keep up, say that okay, that's my level. Then I will push more and get to know more things, and then next year I go back and see how this goes. And that's actually something that I call it as a milestone in language learning when you go back to either a resource or a conversation even
Mm.
after some months, and you say, "Wait, oh, back in I don't know
Right?
3 months ago, I wasn't able to understand what they're talking about, and now I am able." And
Yeah.
that's
Hmm.
for me, it's like a big that's progress. And one
And it
thing
motivates you. Yeah.
yes, and one other thing that I want to add here. In the beginning, I had this, I mean, I think it's also happens because of social media, and you compare yourself with other people because you have exposure to other people. You see, like, this polyglot YouTuber polyglot is doing this, and they speak perfect, I don't know, like Hindi or whatever, and you compare yourself with other people. But the biggest thing here is compare. You don't have to compare with other people. You have to just look back where you were half a year ago or 3 months ago and where you are now, and see your progress, your own progress, and not with the
So
rest.
compare yourself with
With yourself.
yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're looking at somebody who's already been like halfway in the marathon and you're just starting. And
Yeah,
as you runner nerds will probably like the metaphor. And it's like, yeah, you're just starting. They have been like running for how long? So it's
exactly.
just the beginning of
This
your
sounds like
your
some kind of ancient Greek wisdom.
It is. I mean, the genes are talking, right?
but not the running.
There you go.
I
There
leave
you
that to
go.
you
The
guys.
philosophers.
I wanted to ask you guys about what is for you the factor that makes you not want to speak the language that you're learning, especially in the beginning or in general. And I would already provide something I have. I really sometimes catch myself that I don't have the patience for myself because I am super talkative, as some of the fellas may know,
Mm.
and I
I wouldn't say
struggle
so. No.
to portray the sense of humor, that level of sense of humor that you can keep in
Yeah,
languages that you're fluent
Ah.
in, and then you suddenly realize that you have to sort of present a very small part of your personality because of your inability to verbally,
Mm.
you know, portray that. So you have to kind of
yeah.
be much less talkative. And for example, for me, that's a huge thing because I usually speak a lot. So then when I'm in the group and I'm just silent, that's not me. So I want to make a joke and I want to pick up on somebody else's, phrase or whatever they said, but I can't do this because I am not able to. So I think for me, it's the patience and the sense of humor that is the kind of running away. These are the two things that I just think about purely when I learn a new language. And it takes me so much patience to just say, okay, it's fine. You can't joke in this language, you can't do this in that language, but it will take some time. And I guess this is what I most struggle with because I'm not really scared. I'm not really ashamed. I don't really have those things anymore after so many times of trying this, that. But those two things are for me the things. And I wanted to know yours.
This is what I was referring to when I was saying that you feel like a child. So you
Yeah.
as a child you lose all those traits of your personality. You're not as fun anymore. You're not as smart anymore. Like you are a small kid that has limited
But
vocabulary.
you're cuter now.
But
You're more cute because you're a child.
right? Yeah, actually people told me that I'm super cute when I speak Arabic. But I mean, my Arabic is not that bad anymore, so I'm maybe not as
I've
cute as I
got friends
used
of
to
mine who
be.
speak Greek and suddenly they become cuter in Greek for some reason.
Yeah. But no, I wanted to say shortly that for me, it's the lack of time and the energy level. I will give an example. I was in Amsterdam and I speak Dutch. My Dutch is not great, but I had too little time. So like too little time. I was traveling. I had like 5 hours layover, and I had to ask people like some basic things. But even for the basic things, because I was really had to run, so I was like whatever. Like I will speak English, and then also I was tired. So sometimes when you are tired, like this is a natural one. Of course, it doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes you can't squeeze even some simple things out of yourself. So that's something that hinders me from speaking. And again, I wouldn't say that I'm afraid, but well, that's a hinder. What about you guys?
For me, I'm actually also, I really feel the trade off that you guys mentioned, that you have to sacrifice the enjoyment in the conversation and also part of your personality. Like if you're, for example, proud of how funny you are, suddenly you lose that. So for me, you have to kind of find a balance between it. So, for example, sometimes when I just first meet somebody, I just speak in English or some other language that I'm comfortable with. And then, if I'm more just like in a similar conversation that can be done in the other language I know, I just switch. But for me, it's also okay to like switch sometimes, just for me, sometimes maybe I switch to English, say the joke, and then, switch back to German or
To
something.
catch sort of a connection, right, with that, with the
Yeah,
speaker.
yeah.
Mhm.
So like no, so you find a balance. So you show your personality a bit, and then like when you
Yeah.
can, I don't know, like have a serious conversation, which really doesn't matter the like the humor or whatever. You
Tila,
can
you
switch.
showed me so much of your personality when we met. I will never forget. And you started right off with all the Russian that you knew.
That's also the thing. You can do it. You can do it even. I knew like 5 words in Russian, and I just use them as I would use them in Greek because I'm like, this is how I make the joke in Greek. This is how I make the joke in Russian.
Yeah, yeah,
Dimi,
yeah.
how about
That was
you?
super funny.
What are your things
Um,
that you're
I,
afraid or not
th- I,
afraid of speaking
th-
for
I
maybe?
think all of you covered more or less the what like anybody can feel. For me, is when especially in a group of I'm surrounded by a lot of groups of Spanish speakers or German speakers, native speakers, and I am what makes me afraid is when I'm the only one that doesn't speak the language and they have to switch. Doesn't happen so often, but doesn't they have to switch
Mm.
for me in order to be comfortable and like speak English or Spanish where they can speak another language, and that makes me a bit stressful. But at the same time, can help me like motivate me to push through and like
Mm.
get better to this specific, let's say, language. I'm talking about German if you haven't realized yet.
We're all talking
um,
about German.
yes. So I think that's mostly the case.
So in the end, you can use that the fear as a kind of also reality check and a kind of
Yeah,
you accept it again. As Irena said, you've done the process
Hmm.
so many times, so you know it's part of it, and you just
exactly.
use it also to motivate you. Okay, so I'm gonna get a bit
Exactly.
better.
Yeah.
So
But
again,
it takes
it's
times,
better,
right?
yeah.
Like it's for me at least, it took time to understand that yes, mistakes are part of the job, and I mean not only in language, it's also in real life, right? We do mistakes in order to get to know, and you did it once, it was not correct, and then you move forward because you say, okay, I'm gonna do it better next time, or do it differently to see if what's the outcome. So yeah, I think mistakes. If I would say something to close this episode, or like let's say summarize the episode, is like mistakes are part of the of life and of everything that we do,
And fear
and we
is
have,
as well.
yeah, and we have to be more friends with our mistakes and with being vulnerable, or not being right.
I feel that it's very fitting to quote one of my favorite songs by Morshiba here. It's called "Fear Can Stop You Loving. Love
Mm,
Nice,
Can Stop
Exactly.
Your Fear."
Let's
nice,
love
nice.
learning
also nice,
languages.
also nice artist, Shiba. Approve, approve.
So, to all language lovers, we hope you enjoyed this episode, and maybe it will motivate you to go out there and speak your favorite or your target language without fear. And tell us in the comments which language it is and if you made it.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Au revoir.
Beijinhos!
Have a great Sunday.
Görüşürüz.